Chapter 1. His ears were filled with the shrill sound of the alarm, and cold water was falling from the sky. Yan Rui squeezed his eyes tightly and let out a heavy snort. He was exhausted from continuous overtime work, and his head was dizzy. It was hard for him to get down and go to sleep, and he really didn't want to get up. Moreover, he felt light and weightless, and an indescribable sense of relaxation and comfort filled his body. It was even more pleasant than soaking his whole body in a hot tub, so he didn't want to move at all. He felt as if he was floating higher and higher, as if he was swinging on a swing and flying to the clouds, until a pungent burnt smell awakened his last vestiges of alertness. Fire? Open your eyes, run. When he opened his eyes, there was no fire, no smoke, just a little darkness. The familiar desk was gone, along with the computer on it that was used to test data, as well as the drinks, lunchboxes and the work progress deadline chart stuck on the wall. Up, down, left and right there were no familiar black and white Antarctic animal mascots, but instead he saw an unfamiliar environment. He somehow found himself lying on a hard bed, surrounded by a blue cloth tent decorated with red thread, while a woman of outstanding beauty with a rosy face was riding on top of him, her smooth and powerful thighs tightly wrapped around his waist. Neither of them was wearing much clothing, and the atmosphere was a little awkward and ambiguous. Yan Rui's large hand was resting on a certain spot on the woman's body that it was best not to describe in detail. His head still felt a little fuzzy, and the thought of an alarm had been instantly dismissed. Yan Rui's first reaction was that he hadn't woken up with his eyes open, and that he was still in a dream, otherwise there was no way to explain why there was such a pretty girl riding on top of him. He had every reason to think so because in reality, there was never such a good thing, so this must be a dream with benefits. It must be because he had been under too much pressure recently, and his desires had built up. Since it's a dream, I can do whatever I want. Yan Rui grinned, and his hands immediately became restless. The sensations in the palms and fingertips were very real, but in a sense they were also very dreamlike. It's both a dream and a dream. But Yan Rui was wrong. It actually had nothing to do with a dream, but was just a simple and crude beginning to a certain story. Why did you wake up? Never mind. Don't try to conjure up a one-syllable incantation. The woman's white hands quickly climbed up Yan Rui's neck, her delicate and silky skin pressing against his. However, the knuckles of her thumbs were firmly placed on his Adam's apple, and she kept pushing downwards with fierce determination. Yan Rui was indeed unable to say another word.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?